So I'm super curious about this. Like now, even a little farther in your career where you are now, you're working with some of these major artists. Like you did the LG Life's Good with Charlie Puth. You worked with, like you mentioned, Machine Gun Kelly and Fauzia and John Legend. You've done stuff with the Kelly Clarkson Show. All these things, like which are pretty huge productions. Not necessarily speaking one of them specifically, but like, what does the typical budget look like? Like, how much are these artists and labels spending?
It's all over the place.
Are we
And
talking like 25 grand? Or are we talking like 25, like 500 grand? Like, can you give like a general? Because I'm super curious.
I mean, you know, that's where the music video industry is crazy. Is like we'll literally do a $10,000 video and go all the way up to like a million sometimes. And it's
Really,
like,
artists will spend a
and
million dollars on a video.
it's very rare,
Okay,
very rare. Obviously, I think it was more popular back in the day, but
really?
the budgets are in that range. I know that's crazy. It's literally just like adding zeros onto the,
Wait, but you
but
think that they were more crazy back in the day?
oh, 100%. There was less videos being made, essentially commercials for the record to
Wow,
sell records. And now I
interesting.
would say there's more videos being made, more videos being watched than ever before. But I think it's a different world than what it was back in the MTV days or even 10 years ago,
That is so
And
fascinating.
I almost kind of see it changing now as well. As like I haven't been in it so long, but Simeon is 10 years old. I would say we've been really doing it for five.
Okay.
In LA in six, I guess, in LA in the music industry as far as production goes. And I almost kind of feel a change coming again, where a lot more of like the live performance kind of stuff is going to take precedent, and maybe more videos with smaller budgets, and it's not just such a big grand,
I could see
one.
that very much becoming the case.
But it's a constant
Cycle.
swing of the pendulum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it'll go this way and there'll be little stuff, and then it'll be like, well, everyone's doing little stuff. Let's do the big
Yeah.
thing, and then
Yeah.
it'll go that way for 6 months. So,
And
but if,
it's
if I if I were to make a prediction about this year, I do think it's going to be a lot of not smaller, but just like more intimate, kind of like DIY feeling stuff that can
really.
live on TikTok. I do it, and even if it's not, they want it to feel like that.
Oh,
Even
exactly.
if it is a big budget, they still want it to feel,
Yeah.
like they did it themselves or
Which
something.
is kind of
I can see it
interesting
stick on
because
that
like
way.
that leads. And while I'm making this point, could I actually have you push your camera back a tiny bit farther, if
Sorry, I
possible?
keep leaning forward.
Yeah, it's all good. So I see that very much, like in the sense of like, it's rare now that like you see these massive like they look like $500,000 budgets, like, and I have no concept of it. I just assume it's based on like, what things cost in the industry and stuff. It's rarer, I feel like, that we're seeing those, and we're seeing a lot more of like you're in a warehouse, there's nothing in there, and it's like a single take video. You know what I mean? It's just interesting that we're leaning more towards that like raw content, if that makes sense, than.
Yeah, I think I think they want to, I think with COVID, I think it changed things, with the pandemic, where the artists couldn't go on tour, and I think these live performance videos I think really shined, and I don't
I
think they're going
agree.
away.
I loved
Um,
them. I actually prefer when
Good.
artists would send in to like Jimmy Fallon. They would send in their pre-recorded thing over them going to play live because the artists got so creative. It created like a whole new industry of video. I feel like where like a genre of video, I guess you'd call it, right? Like with these live performance videos, whether they were actually live or pre-recorded or whatever, but they looked live, but they weren't a live performance in a stadium, and they weren't like like a music video. It was this weird in between that I loved watching. They were phenomenal.
Same, and especially with my background with television and just kind of like live events that I thought or that I think that those live performance videos are really fun, and to me that they kind of have less pressure than a
Sure,
music video.
sure.
But I think they can hold even more weight sometimes, because it lets the artists really shine and show their skills. And then in a weird way too, as far on the production side, it's like, what can you do when it's live? It's like when you're not fixing it in post, like how good can you make it look? And I think that's a really cool challenge as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So many different aspects, like you just said, like there's less pressure for being the official. Like even myself as a musician myself, like calling something the official video. I'm like, well, then can there never be another official video for this? Like you're cementing it to some degree to this final
Yeah,
concept. It's like, well, what if I want to change the concept in the future, or I
yeah.
get a
I mean,
bigger budget, or like, so it's
I
so
mean,
cementing.
a prime example is with Fozia is where uh, with the John Legend Fozia was it for the Today Show. Like that was, we shot her part in Canada, and we shot John here in LA because they, travel restrictions, and literally projected her and her performance in the John's in ears, and he played it live, and it's like, in that video, I think we booked it on like a Friday night, and I think it aired on like Tuesday, so like booked it on Friday, shot it on, Monday, and then like overnight, like edited it, color corrected it. It was very fast. I think it was all within 5 days from like knowing the product existed to seeing it on TV. Was a wild experience. And then for something like Puppet, you know, Fozia's had this idea forever, and heard about it, a while back, and like almost like a year ago, and even from when we signed on to do that project, and it took a long time to get the idea right, to make sure everything was, we were all on the same page, and then once it was shot, there was so much post, to kind of bring that world to life. So it's like, just with Fozzy alone, just the one single artist, like those two experiences were night and day,
Sure.
as far as like the production side of things.